Good afternoon, Southeast High.
Good afternoon.
Good to see you again. Some of your faces, I recognize faces from last year. Again, my name is Louis Dean. I'm with Sigma Pi Phi Gamma Xi Boule fraternity. And we are here to present the speaker series, a part of our fraternity, discussing various career paths, various opportunities for you as students that you can pursue in the future. I would like to make some introductions first. I'd like to introduce the chairman of our speaker series program of the Journey to Success, Willie Clemens. Also from Booker High, my counterpart in the speaker series, his name is Jerry Long. Now, let's get to the meat of the bones. I'd like to present the leadership presentation speakers. They are Darren Gambrell and Carlos Maria.
Good morning. Good morning. So as Mr. Dean mentioned, my name is Darren Gambrell, and I have the honor of being here this morning to share a few nuggets with you on the topic of leadership. This is something very dear to my heart, and one reason for that is the fact that I can tell you I would not be in the position that I am today if I had not gotten involved with the University of South Florida Sarasota Manatee campus. As a student there, I got involved with our Student Government Association, and that has opened so many doors for me. So I share that with you because I want you to understand that you all are at a very important stage in your life, and based on what you do today will impact you for a lifetime, right? So if you remember nothing else that Carlos and I share today, I want you to remember to get involved in some way, somehow, clubs, organizations, student leadership, whatever the case may be, all right? So with that said, we're gonna move forward. But before I do move forward, I would like to know, do I have any older siblings in the space? Any of you the oldest sibling where you have younger brothers and sisters? All right. Put your hands back up. So I'm trying to get a visual here. Okay, you can put your hands down. Who are my leaders in this space? Who are my leaders? Raise your hands if you consider yourself to be a leader. All right, so now keep your hands up. All right, no, do me a favor, stand up. Stand up. Stand up for a moment. Won't take a lot of your time. All right, now stand up if you consider yourself to be a leader. Now, those that raised their hands when I asked who are my older siblings that did not stand up, raise your hand now. That was another. That was another. All right, so my question to you all, why didn't you raise your hand when I asked you if you for my leaders to raise their hands? You all can sit down. No. Why didn't you raise your hand? I'm just curious.
I just don't consider myself a leader.
You don't consider yourself a leader?
I mean, I don't know specifically of what we're talking about.
You don't see what you do as the older sibling as leadership traits, characteristics, or skills, in a sense of speaking?
I was thinking more about like other parts of my life, but
okay.
With my little brother and cousins, yeah.
Okay. Well, you know, I asked that question And I do this exercise for one simple reason. I want you all to really reframe, rethink how you see leadership, who you consider to be leaders. Later on in the presentation, you're going to see that we have photos of individuals. These are some very famous individuals. But you know, there's some everyday common folks that are great leaders in our society that makes a huge difference. You never hear about them. You never really hear about them on the news, or you never really see them too often, I guess, in the sense of speaking, like on the news, on TV. But they they play a very important role. All right, so with that said, going forward, if you were ever asked who are my leaders, please proudly raise your hand, because I can tell you what you do for those young individuals, whether it's a boy or girl, leadership traits, skills, for sure. All right, I'm sure they look up to you. Is it a boy, or girl, or both?
Both.
Both. A lot of cousins. Okay. I can probably tell you probably little boys like to run behind you and do what you do, whether it's video games, whether it's sports or whatever. They like to follow behind you. You're mentoring that individual, all right? Leadership traits, all right? So, next slide, please. All right, here we go. So, in general, the overview of what we're going to discuss this afternoon, we're going to talk about the traits, skills, and behaviors of leaders. And then we're going to have a discussion, which means there's going to be an exchange between the presenters and you all. So we're going to need you all to participate. And then we're going to highlight just a few leadership opportunities here at Southeast. So as we talk about traits, there are so many different traits, and these are just 4 traits. And so the first one that we have highlighted here in blue is integrity. Can someone tell me in your own words, don't have to be very technical, in your own words, what does integrity mean to you? Anyone? No one? No idea? Is there another way you can describe integrity? What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? No one? Yes, sir.
Is it ask questions?
You said, is it to ask questions? Maybe. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Caring for others? Okay, I can see where you're going with that. Okay, anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
To do the right thing even when no one's there.
Do the right thing even when no one is around. No one can see you, right? Perfect example of integrity. Now, I will say integrity, that's probably a scale, high and low, right? And sometimes what happens is your personal situation dictates what you do in that moment when you are faced with situations, right? So let's just say that you walked in this space, there was no one around you, the light was off, you flip the light on, you walk down, and you see this. Well, I see you looking. Did y'all see what I just flipped on the floor? What would you do? A person with high integrity, what would they do? Oh, he didn't see. Person with high integrity, what would they do if they found this on the floor? No one else is around. Yes, sir. Try to find the owner. Okay. And if you can't find the owner, then what? Give it to, I'm sorry?
The police.
Police or campus security. Absolutely. Or a teacher, Mr. Harvey, or whomever. Any other suggestions? Yes, sir.
Give it to the office.
Yes, give it to the office. Anything else? So now let me ask you the opposite. A person that may be on that lower scale of integrity, what may they do? May take it, right? Yes, sir.
Probably just walk past it.
Walk past it? Okay.
Take the money and leave.
Take the money and leave?
Spend the money.
Spend the money. So like I said earlier, what may dictate what you may do? Would your situation may dictate that? Let's just say you haven't had a meal since yesterday evening, right? And you don't know if you're going to have a meal once you get home. You think maybe that may impact what you do? Possibly. All right? And that's just being real about it, right? At this point in my life, my integrity is so high, it's absolutely nothing that can happen where I'm willing to compromise that. I have too much to lose. My reputation. I have a wife. I have a job. I have kids. I'm not compromising my integrity at this point. Commitment, Carlos.
Good morning. All right, let's wake up. Good morning. Good morning. So one thing before I start about commitment, I want you to understand that when Darren talked about leadership, it doesn't mean leadership that you're going to be on the top leading everybody. There's different levels of leadership. There's even leaders that's leading from the back. Anytime you listen to somebody, they're a leader because you're following them. And just like he mentioned, if you're an older sibling, you got little ones looking up to you, you're a leader. So this class is to make you somewhat better individuals because you have to find within yourself what kind of leader you're going to be. So as we go along everything, look within yourself and see, okay, that's me, that's not me, that's something I need to work on. So the next one is commitment. Why is commitment part of a leadership trait? So I like to pick people. And if you're looking away, I'm most likely going to pick you. So with that being said, Madame in the blue, why is commitment important as a leadership trait? No idea? Anybody want to help out? Sure, you.
Leaders have to be committed to taking up situations in leadership and basically being committed to always lead.
Being committed to always lead. Go ahead. Say what?
Doing stuff when they don't feel like it.
Doing stuff when you don't feel like doing it. That is good. Both answers are good. Commitment is really important within leadership because at the end of the day, you have to accomplish something. You have to be committed to make things happen. Whatever your goal may be, who knows what your goal is, there's things that need to put in place, steps to get you to that goal. So you have to be committed to that goal. Right now, you're in the 10th grade. Your goal should be to go to the 11th grade. Within that, you got to take tests. Within that, you got to study. Within that, you have to find time to study. That could be, I have all the time in the world to study, or for some of you that's probably involved or probably working, you have to find time once you get home late at night, or you got to wake up early in the morning, or you got to find time in the weekend to actually study. That's a commitment of you probably having to sacrifice things that are fun to commit yourself to what you want to achieve. The same thing if you want to go to college. How many of you probably want to go to college? Okay, you can put your hands down. How many of you after high school want to go to work? How many of you want to be self-entrepreneurs or start your own business? So within all that, regardless of what your dreams and goals are, you have to be committed to make sacrifices and understand that it's not just, oh, I'm committed, I'm going to study right now, and you spend 20 minutes reading a book, and by the time you're done reading the book, what was the book about? I have no idea. You committed yourself to reading something, but you also wasted your time. You have to find ways into like, how can I make sure that what I'm doing, I'm learning from it, I'm understanding it, and I'm able to apply it. So commitment comes in different shapes, different forms, just like coming to school. You want to make sure you come on time, you probably got to wake up early. You have a problem waking up early, you got to figure it out. And then you know you got to take things into consideration, transportation, travel, other things you may want to do. If you got to drop somebody off, little things like that, that's the responsibility part. But it's the commitment of you making sure you come to school on time, making sure you do your homework, making sure you study, making sure you pass your test, making sure you move to the next grade. And then after that, you put yourself out there to the goal of probably going to college or whatever it may be.
All right, the next trait is creativity. Anyone would like to share with us why being creative is such a great trait to have as a leader? Any idea why that's important? Yes, sir.
Have your own ideas, and people might actually like it.
You mind sending the mic? Go ahead.
I said, you have your own ideas, and people might follow it and like it, and try to do the same things you do.
Okay. All right. I love that response. Anyone else? Come on. Yes, sir. If you would come up closer.
I was thinking that creativity. Wait, what was the question again?
Why do you see? Why is being creative is a great trait for a leader?
Being creative is a great trait for a leader because doing the same thing over and over again gets boring. So changing it up is like more refreshing.
Oh, man, I love that answer just as well as the first response. You're absolutely right. As a leader, you're going to be faced with tasks. You're going to be faced with obstacles. And you got to be out of the box thinking and come up with fresh and new ways of getting things done. You know, sometimes we find ourselves in a place where we have this goal. We've been trying to pursue this goal a certain type of way, and it hadn't worked out the way we would like for it to work out, but we continue to do the exact same thing, approaching the exact same way, right? You got to be out of the box thinking, be creative. See if there's any way of anything that's new, fresh and new that you can do to really accomplish that goal. And then the last one that we're featuring.
So optimism. Why is optimism great in the leadership? Because it allows you to hope for the best things to happen. Even when things may not seem clear, even when things may be rough, when you have a positive optimism, you are hoping for the best. And sometimes even when you don't see the goal, and a lot of times it's hard to see the goal, if you quit, you're not going to achieve the goal. But suddenly you're probably already in the finish line and you don't know it. So having the positive mindset goes a long way. That allows you to push yourself to a higher level. And when you push yourself suddenly, hey, we realize that you're a great candidate for this new promotion. And we realize that suddenly, hey, we want you to apply for this management position. Because now they see something in you that probably you didn't see in yourself. All you was thinking about was like, you know what? If I continue to work hard, I get to where I need to be at. Any question about optimism? How many of you play sports? What kind of sports? Volleyball, football, huh? Baseball, wrestling, basketball. How many of you play instruments or part of a band or something like that? Piano, guitar, bass. So in relation to teams, right, especially sports, do you always win? So as soon as you lose, are you going to give up?
Nope.
Are you going to say, I'm not coming to practice anymore? You're probably going to work harder, right? And then when you're with your group and you're having the motivational talks, you're going to say, hey, we got this. We're going to do better. We're going to crush them next time we play. That's the optimism of, you know, putting yourself out there and always looking for a brighter future.
And like sports, in the workforce, there are teams. Many of you going to find yourself working on teams, right? And so in working with teams, you're going to be working with other individuals. Have you all heard the saying, negative Nancy? What does that mean? Anyone like to share what that means? What's that? Someone that's always negative. Do you like being around negative people? What do you think eventually happens when you, let's say you're on a team, you work with someone that's always negative? What does that have a tendency to do for you?
Start
Thinking negative, less motivated, taking your energy down, you was on a natural high, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm not really motivated at the moment. You know, that's what happens. In the workforce, and employers look at things like that. They want employees that are motivated, that look at the brighter side of things. You know, instead of looking at that glass as being half empty, they look at it as half full, and they're motivated to try to fill that glass up. You know, so just keep that in mind. All right, next we're moving to skills. Interpersonal skills. Does anyone know what interpersonal skills, what are interpersonal skills? How about personal skills? Personal, yes ma'am?
The skills that you have.
Okay, what skills that you possess, absolutely. What skills are you speaking of specifically? What skills?
Like your skill.
Like my skill? Oh, talking to people, communication skills. Can we agree on that? Communication skills. Communication skills, so important. At the University of South Florida, one of the requests that our career services receive as relates to graduates is they're looking for graduates that have interpersonal skills, right? And so that means someone who's able to communicate. Someone who gets along with other individuals. I mentioned earlier that you're going to most likely find yourself working on teams. Well, that team's not going to be successful if you always have two people going at each other, right? So it just creates this bad negative space. So you need to be able to communicate, You need to be able to get along with others. So there's this device that I don't have in my back pocket. I typically have in my back pocket. It's called a smartphone. What do you all like to do on those smartphones? What do you all do mostly with the smartphones? Listen to music. Okay. What else?
Play video games.
Video games. What else?
Watch TikTok.
TikTok, social media.
YouTube.
Does anyone do this on it? Text?
Yeah.
Do y'all text? Who in here don't text? You don't text at all?
I have no friends.
You don't have any friends? We got to work on that. Yeah, you do. You're surrounded by friends now. And the reason I asked that question is when I was growing up, we didn't have these smartphones. And so we was forced to verbally communicate with individuals. So many of you, because you can text, you can send emails, you don't verbally communicate with even family members like we had to. And so because you don't do it very often, you're not as good at it. It's like anything else. It's like shooting free throws. If you don't get out there and practice shooting free throws, most likely you're not going to be very good at it. All right? So interpersonal skills are so important because you're going to be working with people. You're going to have to be able to relay a message or a thought or an idea.
So the next thing is strategic thinking. Any idea on what that is? Strategic thinking. Thinking what?
Smart.
Thinking smart. Yes, that's great. So strategic thinking focuses on the developing and finding opportunities. We just talked about social media, TikTok. Your generation is the biggest generation that's into technology, social media. Through that platform and other platforms, there's a lot of individuals like you making a lot of money. They find an opportunity, and through that opportunity, they found some type of success. You know, they're well known, they're making a lot of money, but at the same time strategic thinking is great in leadership because when you find a problem, are you going to stick to, well, that's a problem, it is what it is, or are you going to try to find a solution? If you try to find a solution, you're going to put yourself on a different level than your peers. Because now you're dependable and there's a problem, you find a solution, we don't have to worry about you, we like how you think, now you move into the next level, and that's what leaders are about. Now you're saying, oh, it is a problem, now my problem, and I step off. The opportunities to find a solution in which you're able to gain success. And as a business person, regardless how you look at things, whether you want to go to college, whether you want to go to the workforce, whether you want to be an athlete, at the end of the day, you have to find success. If you get hurt, are you going to say, oh, I'm hurt, that's it, my career's over? No. You probably want to go to physical therapy, make yourself better. Once again, going into the commitment, practicing, training a little bit harder, so that way you find a way to be better than everybody else. And you look into developing a process to make yourself better to succeed. So that's why strategic thinking is really important. There's a lot of opportunities out there. Some of you may see it, some of you may not. A lot of times the teacher may ask a question, and some of you may be like, I don't know. That's fine. You may not have the answer, but somebody else does. Listen to their answers. See why they have the perspective. Learn from those things.
You know, you all each and every day are strategically thinking about processes, right? So I'm gonna give you one example. Most of you, if you're gonna wear socks, right, and you're gonna wear shoes, you typically put your socks on before you put your shoes on, correct? Am I correct in saying that? How many of you comb your hair, fluff your hair, brush your hair before you put your t-shirt on? Not a single hand went up. Why is that? Strategically, it makes no sense, right? All right? Exact same thing in business. All right? We're going to keep it moving with networking. Does anyone have a definition for networking? Do you know what a network is? Somewhat? What do you think it is? It's you know, your own definition. Networking. Have you seen a spider web before? all these different directions, different lines, different connections, right? Your network is your connection of people. All right? Think about that spider web. Imagine that at each and every point of that spider web, there's a different person that you know that may have a different skill set, that may be in a position to help you reach your goal, pursue the career that you're looking to pursue, right? To give you advice when you need advice, to provide you with critical thinking when you need it, or criticism when you need it, right? That's your network. So let me ask you, you got this connection of people. When should you start building your connection of people? Should you wait till you get 50, after high school, after college? When should you build a network of people?
In high school.
In high school? Like when in high school? Like what grade you think? Ninth? Okay.
Try to talk to your teachers and peers.
Talk to your teachers and peers.
Because they can help you in the long run.
That is so important. I'm glad you said teachers and peers, right? You're absolutely correct. Don't wait until you get it in the 12th grade. You're all in the 10th grade now, right? Don't wait till you get in the 12th grade to start developing your network of people, because you're going to need a network of people to help you through life. I would not be where I am today if I didn't have people who spoke very highly of me. But the only way they're going to speak very highly of you is if you do things in a way that they can't speak very highly of you, right? I'm not signing off on no nonsense. If you're a person that's not doing what you're supposed to do, and I get a letter from an employer saying that, oh, Johnny listed you for a reference, Johnny's not going to get a very good reference from me, because my reputation would be on the line if I gave Johnny a good reference and I know Johnny was not going to show up to work. Johnny's going to look bad, and I'm going to look bad, right? That network is so important. Start now and do the right things that you need to do to maintain that connection where you will receive a good reference.
The next thing, what is next? So what? Ability to adapt. What is that important in a leader? I will tell you why. When I was 10, I thought I was grown. When I was 15, I am who I am. I am way older, and I'm still changing. I'm still learning, and I'm still adapting as an individual personally. That allows me to grow, and that allows me to be a better individual, better person, better leader. You're learning from your mistakes. Key thing, learn from your mistakes and do better. Things are always going to change. You could expect things to go a certain way. Sometimes they do great, sometimes they don't. Are you going to adapt? We're not talking about the world adapting around you. Are you going to adapt? Are you going to make yourself better? Are you going to make yourself smarter? Are you going to make yourself more intelligent? Or are you going to remain the same? So if everybody around you right now, we continue to adapt and we're already older, you need to do the same thing. So with that being said, why is it important to adapt? Madam? Yes.
Basically, if you have a challenge, you have to overcome it.
Yes, if you have a challenge, overcome it. Once again, not dropping the pack, not saying I'm not doing this, but overcome it. And it could be personal challenges, not just professional. You got to deal with families. Sometimes families not the easiest to deal with. Sometimes you have siblings that are not easy to deal with. Sometimes you have mom and dad that a lot of times don't see where you're coming from. But if sometimes you want something and they don't see it, you have to adapt and probably communicate it to them in a different way that they could understand. So now you're adapting the conversation. You're probably adapting your behavior because like mom is telling you to make the bed every day and she's always screaming at you because you don't make the bed. What probably you need to do so you don't hear your mom saying about, hey, make your bed?
Make that bed.
What? Make the bed, right? Do you adapt? Yes. One less thing that you got to hear about. Same thing. You got to do your homework. I'm late. Yeah, I didn't submit it on time. You probably got to adapt some way, somehow, back at home and whatever it is that you're doing so you could do your homework and turn it in on time. Same thing as you grow. Personally, you have to adapt who you are as a person and make yourself better, be more professional. I don't like waking up early, but I got to make the sacrifices to wake up early. I don't like to study, but now I got to adapt and figure out about studying and understanding, comprehending what it is that I'm actually learning. Adapt all the time. Make yourself better, bottom line. And through that, that's how you're able to make yourself more of a better leader, because when people see that you're progressing and making yourself better, people sometimes follow that, and they go up to you for guidance.
Okay, and the last skill that we're going to speak about is listening skills. You know, I noticed each and every one of us, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. I wonder why. You know, maybe that's some insight on how important it is to listen. In life, you're going to be faced with problems. In the workforce, you're going to be faced with problems and tasks, right? And you're going to be asked to solve that problem. Well, you got to first know what the problem is. Let's just say you're a psychologist. You can't solve that person's problem that may be sitting on your sofa if you don't first do what? Listen. You got to know what you got to fully know what the problem is, right? And so sometimes I think what happens is we somewhat listen, but not really, because we get to a point in the conversation and we think that we know where the person is going or what he or she is going to say, right? And we already prepared to speak, and then we realize, oh, that's not where they were going. That's not what he was saying, or that's not what she was saying, right? Listen is so important. You can't problem solve without listening. You can't fully understand what the problem is if you are speaking and not listening. So important. All right? All right, moving on to behaviors.
So this is a lot more personal into you finding yourself and understanding yourself a lot better, because this is your behavior, this is who you are. So manage time wisely. Why is that important? We kind of already been covering this the entire time, but why is managing time wisely important in leadership? Sir?
Because sometimes you need to make time for more important stuff.
Did y'all hear what he said?
He said that you need to make time for important things. That's a great point. You do need to make time. Somebody else. Sir, why is managing time wisely important in leadership? Someone, go ahead.
To make sure you don't waste any time doing things that won't help you.
He said, make sure you don't waste time doing things that won't help you.
Basically, great answers. Manage time wisely. If you know you have a deadline, a lot of you is probably submitting that deadline 1 minute before the deadline. How do you know you're submitting a great product? You probably want to finish it before the deadline, look over it, and adjust as needed, or you're going to always give a mediocre product. Or you want to set yourself apart from everybody else and make sure what you provide, what you submit, what you present is great. So manage time wisely is really important. Going back to school, you know you got to be in class at a certain time. You know what you got to accomplish before making it to class. Same thing. Probably need to wake up earlier if you're always coming late.
You have homework deadlines. What happens if you turn your homework in a day late? What's that?
You get half the credit.
Half the credit. Okay, that's being very generous. I know some instructors, if you turn it in a minute late, a second late, 0. 0. You know what that does for your grade? It drops it way down. In some cases, it may drop it so far down that you have no chance of pulling it up. Right? So important. The workforce is the exact same thing. You may not get a lower grade, but you may get written up, and you continue to do that, then eventually you get fired, right? So very important. Learn these skills now. Maintain a positive attitude. We kind of talked about this earlier. We talked about negative Nancy. No one like being around negative people. Employers don't like hiring negative people. They want people like Carlos. Positive, right? That's motivating others, that's encouraging others, that people like being around. All right? That's what the employees are looking for.
What's the next one? What's the third thing?
Diligent with work.
Diligent with work. What does diligent means? Thorough?
Thorough. Okay.
What else? Diligent. What does it mean? Before we go into the work, putting them together, what does diligent mean? How about caring for the things that you do? Don't think about the workforce, but just about the things that you do. What kind of product do you provide? What kind of homework assignment do you provide? If you got to submit a report that you had to type or handwrite, are the papers clean or are they dirty? What does that tell about you? That you just don't care? Do you actually check for the spelling? Or you just submit it, like I said, because you needed to submit it on time? You're actually careful and you care about the product that you provide. That is part of leadership. Sets you aside from everybody else. Probably some of you like to clean your room. Some of you don't care about your room. Some of you like to make your bed. Some of you probably don't care about making your bed. I know when I was your age and I went to some of my friends' house, their house was just dirty. And I was like, oh man, they really don't care. And I've been to my other friends' houses and they're always like, okay, I could probably stay here. But when I have friends come over to my house, I will make the bed. I make sure that the bathroom was clean. But that was because I care on what they thought of me. And because I went to some of their houses, I was like, I ain't going over there. I prefer going to the toilet outside, porta-john, than going into their house. So kind of like a presentation about you and yourself. And the same thing with the work that you provide. So caring about the work goes a long way. That kind of tells what kind of individual you are. And that automatically deals with responsibility.
The next behavior, practice inclusion. Well, let's just talk about inclusion. Does anyone know what inclusion means? What's another way of saying inclusion? Describe it. What does it look like? Look around. Look around at your peers. Look behind you. Don't be afraid. Look behind you. Somebody behind you, I promise you. As I look in this space, I don't know you all personally, but as I look in this space, I think I'm 1% accurate in saying that many of you come from different backgrounds, you're different genders, different sexual preferences, different religions, right? Each and every one of you are uniquely different. And that's what makes you great, to be honest with you. That's what makes teams great in the workforce. That's what makes sports great. Who plays sports in here? What sport, young man? Football, what position? Linebacker. So tell me the characteristics, the traits that coaches look for in a linebacker. Or should a individual have in order to be a successful linebacker? Leadership. Knowing every position and how it works. All right. So what other characteristics do you have to be fast? Do you have to be strong? So it sounds like you have to be smart too, right? All right. Who else plays sports? Wrestling, right? All right. So okay. So tell me something about wrestling. What are some of the characteristics of wrestling? What's some abilities you have to be a successful wrestler?
Willpower and determination.
Willpower and determination. You got to be mentally strong and physically strong, right? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So where am I going with this? Let's just get back to football for a second. You have 11 positions, and each person in each of those 11 positions have different characteristics, different strengths, right? Yep. Quarterback, it helps to be real quick, good footwork, know how to throw the ball. Receivers have to have great hands, right? Running back have to be great feet, quick, all right? There's a reason for that. In the workforce, on the teams, inclusion is so important because everyone is bringing something different to the table with the hopes that the outcome is something greater because you all have different talents and abilities. I would want to have well, let me ask you this. Do you think a football team can be successful if you had 11 quarterbacks out on the field at one time? No? Anyone? You think that team would be successful? Exact same thing in the workforce. So that is inclusion and essential speaking. It's all about different backgrounds, different traits, different characteristics, a better outcome.
The next thing is thinking critically. How many of you think or believe that you actually make critical decisions? What kind of decisions?
Like when there's a problem and most people like around you can't solve it, you gotta like. Do we want to
find a solution?
Example? Yeah.
So when there's a problem, people can solve it, find a solution. How about you? Huh? In school, you got to think critically all the time? Okay, how about you? Okay, so when it comes to leadership and stepping outside of school, life as a whole, critical thinking deals with the ability to evaluate decisions, and within those decisions you have to look at different things before you come out with a solution. Meaning take away your beliefs, take away your biases, take away your assumptions. Because if you do that, you'll be able to provide a great result. If not, you put in your personal life and beliefs and thinking into what you assume could be the solution, but then that could be wrong because it's based on you, not the overall picture. Does that make sense or no? So a lot of times people think like, oh, I can critically think and come out with a solution. People can do that, but you got to make sure you take away all those biases, assumptions, and you actually stick to the problem at hand and come out with a solution based on all the information that you have. And if you don't have all the information, you cannot make an actually decision, or you cannot provide results, or else it's inadequate. It's not going to be correct. Because on your level, you might see things from your perspective and your age group. From my level, I may see perspective from our age group. That means I'm eliminating you. I'm not being inclusive of what Darren just spoke about. So think about that. If you lost a game, whatever it may be, let's take it to football or whatever sport, basketball, is it the defense or the offense that needs to work more? Or is it the entire team? Sometimes it's not an entire team. Sometimes it could be one of the two. Sometimes it can be a group of players, or it could be one player, or it could be the place that we're doing that's not making us successful. And take away those beliefs of like, I think I know what's making us wrong. Yeah, that's great feedback that you're able to get, but at the end of the day, you put all that together and come out with the best solution, and that's critical thinking. Really understanding and knowing and finding the correct problems, and then trying to get the solution that you want.
Have you all ever seen like a horse that have these blinders on? Anyone have an idea why they wear those?
So they can focus on
what's directly in front of them, right? Also help with them, by them focusing directly on what's in front of them, sometimes it prevents what's going on out here from spooking the horse, right? So that's what Carlos is saying. That's exactly what he's saying. We don't want you to be problem solving and you have blinders on. We want you to take in consideration everything, not just what's in front of you. All right? All right, we almost there. And like I said, discussion. These are some pictures of some very famous individuals. Do you all recognize any of them? Just yell out. Michelle Obama. Who else? Abraham Lincoln. Who else? Gandhi. Who else? Martin Luther King Jr. Who else? Who's that? That is Oprah. Yeah, Oprah. Who else? Uh-oh. Like two up there that you all don't recognize. Maybe three. No? Is that it? You've seen it before. Which one? Bottom, center? Which one? Bottom. Bottom and the center. No? No idea who it is? Chavez? Cesar Chavez? You know what he's known for? No? State of California? Migrant workers? Rights? They've been exploited, taken advantage of. All right? He led a movement for those individuals to be treated fairly, get paid fairly, right? So that's Chavez. What did some of the other leaders do that you all know of? What did Gandhi do? I know you mentioned Gandhi, if I'm not mistaken, right? Did you mention Gandhi? Do you know what he did? What country is he from? Come on, he's from India. Oh, you don't know? Okay. What about some of the others? Do y'all know what any of the others did other than President Obama? I know y'all know what he did, right? I just gave it away. All right. Oprah Winfrey, what did she do? What is she known for?
What did Obama do?
He was the president.
Oh.
What did Oprah Winfrey do? What is she known for? What's that?
Doesn't she have a show or something?
You said, doesn't she have a show or something? Uh-oh, I'm not saying confidence. He was like, no. He was like, doesn't she have a show or something? He was like, no. Huh? All right. So, hey, have a little confidence. You're right. But not only does she have a show, she has an entire network, which that entire network consists of many shows. All right? And not only her shows, but other shows. She started out with having a show, but then she created her whole network. She is one of the richest women in the world. All right? She's probably in the top 5. Okay? So, but what I want to share with you all as it relates to leadership is these are some great leaders, some very famous leaders. But all leaders are not very famous. All leaders, you're not going to see them on TV, you're not going to hear about them on the radio, but they're making an impact each and every day. I'm looking at a leader right here. I'm looking at a leader, many of you. You impacting lives each and every day. So I want you all to really think, when you're thinking of leaders, don't always think it has to be someone that's very well known or someone that's very popular, someone that has a lot of money. They're known. But to that little one, you're known. All right? So yeah, always keep that in mind.
So within that, understand that leaders are all around us. When I was younger, Superman was my role model. As I got older, it became my dad. Why? Because he had the characteristics that I learned as I was getting older of leadership. Hardworking, responsible, professional, things like that. So going around, name some of the people that you look up to as leaders or probably individuals that you want to be as you're growing up. You have anybody?
Anybody you look up to, you
Anybody
respect?
you look up to? Respect, see as a leader? Huh?
Both of my parents.
Both your parents?
Coach, my dad.
Coach, dad, mom?
I'd probably say like my dad.
Dad?
Friends and family.
Friends and family?
Friends and families? Mom? 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 Friends and family? Excuse me? Mom and siblings? Granddad? Oh?
Both parents.
Parents? Parents, siblings?
My sisters.
Sister?
My dad.
Dad? Parents?
My parents, my uncle.
Parents, uncles, sisters? Parents?
Family, coach.
Family coach in? Teammates? Parents? Parents? Family? So, so within that is,
Go back to him.
you don't have to answer.
Go back to him.
Oh, who do you look up to?
Parents.
Parents? So within that, look into why you look up to them. It could be the sacrifices that they make. It could be the things that they provide for you. It could be the life that they want for you to be better than theirs. As a parent, that's what we want. You may not see it now, but some of you might see it. Some of you are experiencing it. but they want something better for you. So they're making a lot of sacrifices for you. They don't have to be famous, but they're there for you. Some of you may have the ability to go up to them and bring up anything to them, and they'll be able to provide that positive feedback. But sometimes you look up to them, but it might be a little bit hard for you to be able to communicate with them and really express yourself. Everybody's different. Every parent is different. But look up to them for those positive skills, abilities that they have and characteristics. At the same time, do not neglect the individuals that's probably not great role models for you, and really know what it is that I don't like about them, and make sure that you're not doing what they're doing to you, because like, oh yeah, I don't like them. Why not? Well, they're lazy. Are you lazy? Well, they're disrespectful. Are you disrespectful? It's easier to see the positive role models, but a lot of times we don't look into like, why do I look up to these people? What are they doing to make me better? And am I doing something within myself to make myself better and not be like the negative people that don't help me? I definitely don't want to be like them. We always talk about criticism. Positive, negative criticism. A lot of times people are giving you feedback and it may sound like negative criticism, but sometimes there might be a little bit of reality within that. You just got to step back and be like, okay, I keep hearing this from multiple people. I disagree, but if there's truth to it. And if there is, look within yourself and make yourself better. Especially if you have little siblings, cousins, that a lot of times they want to follow you, and the actions that you make may have an impact because they're like, well, my older cousin's doing it, or brother and sister, I want to do it too because I'm following their footprints.
All right. All right, Mr. Harvard, next slide. Okay. These are just 4 clubs, organizations here at South to East. Is there anyone in here that's a part of either one of these 4 clubs? Which one? Honor Society? Honor Society? Is that it? Just only 2? All right. Is there anyone in here that's a part of any other club or organization? Shout it out. SGA. SGA? What is Omega? Okay, Omega. All right, what's any others? So we got 1 person in here that's a part of student government? I see 3. I see 3 people that have a connection with student government. There's 1 right here. Where's the other 2? Raise your hands if you've been a part of student government. Carlos. Raise your hand, Carlos. All right. Student government has been very beneficial to us. Getting involved with club organizations are very beneficial, right? So Carlos served as the treasurer. I served as the secretary the first year, the vice president the second year, playing a very important role as it relates to securing the $26.9 million for our current campus. I would not be where I am today, standing before you in the position that I'm in, if I had not gotten involved with student government, I had not gotten involved with clubs and organizations. So if you take away absolutely nothing else that Carlos and I, Mr. Dean, or anyone else shares with you, I want you to take away the importance of getting involved. It is so important. Clubs provide you with an avenue to get to know people, provide you with an avenue to form your network. That person that, look around, if you would, look around at the people in front of you, beside you, behind you, right? Look around. All right, let me ask you a question. Do you know where she's going to be in 10 years? Do you know where he's going to be in 15 years? No? So the reality of it all is, and the reason I asked you this question is, you don't know where your opportunities are going to come from, right? The person you sit beside you right now that you may want to discount or think, oh, don't think very highly of the person, maybe the next Oprah Winfrey, right? Maybe the next Mr. Dean, Mr. Clements, Mr. Jerry Long, who had a business, owned a business, right? You never know where your opportunity is going to come from. And it's not all about just them, but it's all about what we talked about earlier, the networking. They have parents. I have a 9th grader, 14 years of age, that attend St. Stephen's. He has peers. One of his peers, parents, are both doctors. My son has the desire to be a doctor. Do you think they willing to bend over backwards to ensure that my son has all the necessary knowledge, skill set, internships that he needs to be successful in medical school? Absolutely. Your network, and that's just because his peer, right? So look at your peers. Don't discount them, because you never know where your opportunities are going to come from. So with that said, I want to thank you for your time, for your energy. Yeah, go ahead. Carlos, we'll take that. Mr. Dean. Dr. Clement. All right. So with that said, we'll entertain any questions that you all have. And unless you know it all, you need to have some questions regarding the presentation, leadership, college, life, whatever. We'll take any questions that you all have. Is there anyone that plans on maybe going to college? Oh, you don't have any questions? Is there anyone that plans on maybe going in the military? And you don't have any questions when this guy here served 15 years active duty? He got 23 years total. He's still serving, fought in 8 different countries. You think maybe he can share something with you that you don't know at the moment? Oh, you don't think so? Oh, you know it all? You're the only one I know that knows it all. Any questions? Go ahead. No, come on. You sure?
Can you talk a little bit about ethics, the importance of ethics in leadership?
All right. Did you all hear the question? So we talked about integrity earlier. He said ethics, right? So, and that's a very important piece, because I see a lot of things that I would not consider to be ethical that's taking place in leadership. It is so important. You heard me earlier talk about my reputation, my name, my image, right? Being ethical in business is so important. Unethical activities can have very negative consequences for an organization, for a company. It can have very negative consequences for an individual. Sometimes we talk about, well, what's lawful and what's not lawful. Well, somewhere in between, you may have this thing called ethics, right? It's not that it's unlawful, but it's unethical, right? It's not that it's wrong, but it's unethical. It's somewhere between right and wrong. And just because it's not against the law, don't mean it's right to do. Just because it's, so I want you to think about that. Now, would you all like an example of something that may be ethical or unethical? An example anyone want to give? Something that's lawful, but it's unethical. I have one. So, I'm gonna give you an example. I work at the university, right? Let's just say my wife would like to apply for a position at the university. There's nothing unlawful for her to work at the university, although I work there, right? But what I have to do to make sure that I cover my bases and make sure I'm doing the things that are ethical, I have to disclose that that is my wife, right? I have to disclose that is my wife. And the other thing is, that position cannot be in an area that I supervise. That's just it. Now, does it happen? Absolutely. But I'm not willing to sacrifice my credibility, my reputation, and my position, and being able to put food on the table for my family to do things that are unethical. So do y'all understand that whole ethical compared to lawful and unlawful? You got a better idea of what that is? All right. How did I do a good job? Okay. All right. Any questions? You still got us here for a couple more minutes, if you need. We're here for you. Yes, ma'am.
What do universities look for in students? What do universities look for in upcoming students?
So, what she said, what does a university look for in students? Prospective students, she said upcoming students, prospective students. They look for a lot of things that we talked about in the presentation. They want students to have integrity. They want students to be committed committed in the classroom, right? They want to know that those students are going to do the best that they can to perform and perform on tests. Sometimes it's also they're wanting students, they're looking at the whole student. So what they're wanting is not just someone who's smart, but also someone who's making the world a better place, someone who's pleasant, someone that motivates others. All right, so it's not just about intelligence. And that's what I tell my son. My son has the goal of going to Ivy League school. Super smart, right? Well, there's a lot of smart kids out there. A lot of smart kids out there. So he won't be the only smart kid. So what does he need to do? And this is what you all need to do. Take this note. On top of your academics, I mentioned those 4 clubs. We feature those 4 clubs, organization. Get involved. You got to find a way to separate you from the next person that's also trying to get into that college or university that you're trying to get into. You got to find another way to showcase your uniqueness, right? There's a lot of smart kids out there. Every smart kid that applies to UF don't get into UF. Don't get in for whatever reason, right? For Bright Futures, you only have to have, what, 100 volunteer hours? Don't stop at 100. Last year, I was interviewing candidates for, not candidates, but students for scholarships. These students had 1,000 hours. If you only got 100, and you're on the exact same line as far as academics, you only got 100 volunteer hours, this person got 1,000, what do you think is going to happen? You think you're going to get that scholarship? Most likely not, right? You got to get involved. You got to be this whole student, not just someone who's smart, but someone who's smart, someone who's performing community service, someone that's motivating students, someone that's volunteering, someone who's tutoring peers. They want to see the whole student.
I was going to add to your question, take it a little back and make it more personable. What do you look for in a university? What do you want? What are you trying to gain for? Are you trying to go to a university that has a right reputation, Ivy League? Or are you just trying to get a degree? Go to a community college. Are you trying to specialize in a specific degree? Or are you just trying to be like, yeah, I just want to go to college?
Have fun.
Have fun, yeah.
Fraternities and sororities.
Do you want something that's going to give you based on your goal, whatever field of employment you want to be into, and be like, I want something that can set me up for success? What are you looking for? And once you know what it is that you want, then take it from there and look for things that's going to be great for you. Don't just take it because, oh, well, there's what I want to do, and I'm just going to take this. You're allowing a lot of opportunities pass by you. If you don't take those opportunities, somebody's going to take it away from you. He spoke about scholarships. There's a lot of scholarship money out there for students to go to college for free. But people are not signing up. People don't want to do the hard work. People are not doing what they're supposed to do. So you don't want to take that money, somebody's going to take it away from you. There's a lot of opportunities out there for you to be successful. Can't blame nobody, just you, as long as you're willing to make the commitment, the sacrifice, and put yourself out there.
All right, any other questions? The whole student, complete student. Remember that. That's what they're looking for, especially in Ivy League. Any other questions about life, military? For those, yes, sir, go ahead.
What about the Army? What are they looking for in the Army?
The Army, Carlos.
So regardless of which branch of service you want to go to, what it is that you want. What do you want to do? Will the Army be the right one for you? Do they have the job that you want in the Army? Probably another branch of service, they have it. What do you want? I know we'll probably want to work for these big companies. Oh, I want to go work for Apple, Amazon, whatever it may be. But is that a right fit for you? Is that the right culture for you? Are you going to be able to progress and do better for yourself? That's what said take it back, kind of like to her answer. What it is that you want, and then do your research. Instead of going to the Army, going to recruiter, and I'm telling you everything that I know, but I'm not hearing anything that you want. What do you want? And will the Army be right? Now you have, regardless of the branch of service, you got officers, you have enlisted. To be an officer, you got to have college, you got to have a degree. There's programs, ROTC programs, that will pay scholarships for you to graduate. Even in the military, we have a lot of diversity programs that will allow, if you're a diversity student, They'll pay for your college, get a degree, go into the military. There's a lot of opportunities out there, what it is that you want. Don't expect people to tell you what you're going to do in life. You need to take the step and be like, I have an idea of what I want. Even if you're somewhat lost or don't know, have an idea into what it is that you want.
And, you know, I know you may not naturally think in terms of military for that individual that primary goal is to go to college. But just understand this. There's many ways for you to receive that degree, many routes that you can take. You can go directly out of high school, or you can go from high school to community college, like the State College of Florida, get your AA degree, transfer into a 4-year college or university, get your bachelor's degree. You can take the military route. And even with the military route, there's many routes that you can take. You know, you can go off to a school like the University of South Florida, Florida State UF, get involved with ROTC, junior ROTC. Well, in high school they have junior ROTC, and in college you have ROTC. Try to work your butt off, try to get you a scholarship. All right, get a scholarship. Once you complete your degree, then you go into the military full time. The benefit to that is you go in as an officer, not as an enlisted person, because at that point you have your college degree. And also the benefit to that is while in college, you're on scholarship, they pay for your tuition, the room and board, your food is paid for, and they give you $1,500 a month. Probably give them more now, right? I had fraternity brothers that was balling out in college. Tuition's paid for, room, food paid for, they got $1,500 in their pocket. New cars, new motorcycles, they was balling out in college. So you got to make a determination of what it is that you want to do and what it is that you're trying to get out of the military, because believe me, the military is going to get everything they can out of you, right? So Carlos, I really appreciate you saying that. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
How would you realize you're becoming a good leader?
How would you realize? When you don't even have to call yourself a leader. You hear other people saying, oh, that's my mentor, right? When you got people, you look behind you, you got people following you. They want to do what you're doing. They want to go where you go. They want to mimic you, right? That's a sign of a leader. Now, whether we talking about little ones or we talking about your peers, peers look up to other peers that are leaders. Man, I wish I was more like Carlos. And in so many ways, I do wish I was more like Carlos.
But
right?
I wish I was more like Derek. So it's a back and forth.
It is a back and forth. Absolutely. That's how you know, right? But also understand as a leader, it's not a badge that you just, oh, I have it now and I'm done. You got to get up each and every day, do the right things for individuals to still consider you to be a leader. All right? Okay. Yes, sir.
So do you look up to Carlos?
Absolutely, I look up to Carlos.
Is there anyone else you look up to?
Yeah, that's quite a few people I look up. Not a whole lot. There's quite a few people. I have very high standards, so it's not a whole lot of people I look up to. Also, keep in mind, I would not be where I am if someone had not taken an interest in my life. I can give you a whole story on this whole diversity piece, but we're talking about leadership today.
So
all right?
I can add a little bit to that. A lot of times when you think about looking up to somebody, especially, we were all young, we look for, oh, this is my best friend for life. This is my best friend. I'm looking for friends. When you get older, you don't do that anymore. You look for leaders and mentors based on the category that you need that help and assistance. If I need marriage advice, I have a selection of individuals that I can go to and be like, I look up to them because they're phenomenal. When I look to parent advice, I look up to a lot of people. When I look into work ethic, I have a selection of individuals. And every category, there's a different leader that I look up to. Most of the categories, Darren is part of that. Dad, phenomenal father. Leader, phenomenal leader. Work ethic, phenomenal. So also align yourself with those individuals that will allow you to progress instead of that will push you back or hold you down. A lot of times those individuals are family members. oh, you're not going to be good for college, or you're not going to be good for this. They have the negative mindset instead of having the positive optimism. Or first time in college. How many of you, I know he said about who's first time in college. Your parents may not support you because they've never been to college. So when you go to college and they see you behind the computer, oh, you're just watching videos, you're watching TikTok, you on whatever it may be, Instagram. You're like, no, mom, dad, I'm actually studying. They don't know better because they didn't experience that. So you have to find those individuals, attributes, characteristics that will help you grow. Doesn't mean that they're going to have all of them, but just look into those and ask for guidance, assistance, mentorship, or whatever it may be.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
What do you think is the most important trait a leader can have?
I think one of the most important traits that leaders can have is being a follower first, right? Carlos kind of touched on this earlier. I think those who were followers first make the best leaders. In my profession, well, not at the moment, but I used to supervise staff. I'm now officer one, right? And so when you've been in those individuals' shoes, you walked in their shoes, you lived the life that they're living, you better understand them, right? You better understand what they're facing. You better understand the challenges that they experience on a day-to-day basis. That makes you hands down a much better leader than anything else in the world, in my opinion. During COVID, I was supervising 3 staff members. They had to report to work each and every day. I was told, well, Darren, you can work from home if you would like. You can work remotely, right? You know what Darren did? Darren went in each and every day. Why? Those that I'm supervising that see me as a leader, they had to be there, and me being at home working remotely did not line up with my leadership style. I wanted to be there to support them. They had to see me each and every day. I had to be there to support them each and every day, right? To me, that's what a leader does. All right, that's what a leader does. That's what a leader looks like. That's what a leadership feels like. So I hope that answers your question. Yes, ma'am.
What if you consider yourself a leader, but you don't know what's next or what to do?
That's okay. No one knows everything. You figure it out. You all right? And if you got a team and you're the leader, you all as a team, we figure it out together. No one knows everything. I tell my sons, Daddy don't know it all. Do I think I can provide everything to my kids? Absolutely not. 20 years in higher education, do I know everything about higher ed? Absolutely not. No one person possesses everything, and no one person owns all the knowledge, right? And it's okay. I think as someone who's humble, who's honest, you're able to say, hey, son, I don't know it all, but let me call Carlos because he knows more about that than I do. That's okay. Don't take nothing away from you. Or me, in that case, it wouldn't take anything away from me by knowledge that I don't know. But let me find out.
I would say with that is, one, be humble. Like you said, you will not have all the answers. Be humble. 2, find the answers if you don't know the answers. You have people that know how to do the work, and the people that know why they're doing the work and the type of work that they're doing. If you have the answers, asking, why is this being done this way, you're making yourself better other than, I don't know, this is how we always done it. And you just move out, I don't know why we're doing it that way. But then you got the ones that actually know. It's okay to say, I don't know. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say, let me get back to you. That will give you more credibility because now what's going to come out of your mouth is going to be a truth answer based on the research that you provided, instead of, I tell you one thing right now and then come to find out it was not for real. Now you're going to see me, oh, Carlos don't know the answers. Carlos is a liar. Now I'm putting myself out there in a negative way. So just be humble, and it's okay to say, I don't know.
Being educated is not knowing everything. It's knowing where to go when you're trying to find the answer to those questions that's being asked. That's really what education is really all about. Okay? Any other questions? Carlos, myself, Mr. Dean, we're here for you. We're your network. Take advantage.
Thank you. Carlos, Darren.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know, as I was sitting here, I noticed that some of my last year students are in the audience. I'm not going to call their names out. I'll point them out. But I see growth growth from last year to this year. And who knows what, give me a definition for growth. Anyone? Exactly.
He said when you improve.
Yes, yes. So now my definition is growth. It's a process of learning and self-achievement. A process. What's a process? Step by step, living through learning what you do every single day and making self-achievement. Growing in terms of being a wrestler, being in the military, and any other thing that you pursue in life. And I'd like to share with you some additional programs that are offered with Sigma Pi Phi, my fraternity. And in addition to the speaker series, we have student internships program. What is a student internship program? You get paid while working in the internship program. We have employers like USF, the Herald Tribune, and other businesses in the Sarasota area that we hire students and you get paid a wage. Also, we have group mentoring programs. Any of you guys are just sophomores? Maybe you're struggling in an area of your studies. We can help you with the mentoring program. And then we also have a college scholarship program. Our college scholarship program provides $16,000 for 4 years. $4,000 a year to help cover your college expenses. Of course, that won't cover everything because college is very expensive these days. So if you want to apply for a scholarship, go online. There are many, like Mr. Harvey has said, Darren has said, there are many opportunities for scholarships, not just within my fraternity. Darren has another fraternity, Kappa Psi, Alpha Kappa Psi. Kappa Alpha Psi. Anyway, yeah. The Kappas.
That's right.
They offer fraternities, and there are many nonprofit organizations within the Sarasota area that offer scholarships. So, but it takes you, fill out the application, do the work, so that you can get, many of you raise your hands for college. So there's another opportunity for you to go there. Mr. Daniels?
Yes, thank you, gentlemen. Absolutely.